I did want to have a conversation. I want to go Steve first on this, who's a neutral with us today. What did you make of Rasmus Hojlund's performance? Because he's obviously been heavily criticised this season for not scoring enough, for not doing enough in Premier League games. What did you make of that young man today?
Took the goal really well. Definitely. Like, the kid has ability. I don't think he has a wide range of skill sets. From what I saw at Sturm Graz and a little bit at Atalanta. But what he does do well, he does really well. So he has a few things that he does really well. And if you play into those strengths, you'll get a good player that can get you goals. So the goal early helped his performance later, right? Goals change games, and goals help out players, like the morale, what we were just talking about with managers, giving you that morale, giving you that injection of belief, and then the belief can translate to good performances. Yeah, I like what I saw from Hojlund today better. I still think he's lacking a bit of service. But he's just doing his thing, man. I think he'll be a good player, but you do need to find someone, and that's been a problem over the years for Man United, working the graveyard shift as striker, right? Because you don't have wingers that look to pass first. You have Rashford, who likes to just take a few touches, shoot right away. Garnacho is a bit of a better passer of the ball, assist, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I thought he did well, man. I thought he did well. Something to build off of, another Premier League goal. Yeah, he's a good player, man. I like Hojlund.
How about yourself, Cam? I know you've been critical of him at times. What did you make of his overarching performance today for United?
He was really good today. If you have eyes, you could see it. The one piece of skill he had when he went on the outside, that was brilliant. There's that if Staffy nailed it with Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Like, that guy's just bad. If Wan-Bissaka could pass the ball, he was so the runs I've been hoping for, and that I've been saying he needs to make and give his team an outlet. If Wan-Bissaka got the pass right, he was in on goal, nobody around him, he's too fast. That would have been 1v1 done. The fact that he took the shot on when Rashford probably should have shot, and just the way first of all, I didn't realize he was so left-footed. But the fact that he took that whole, when you look at that whole sequence, when he took the ball, kept it on his left foot, and just hammered it, that's the confidence that I want to see from him. I know he's not going to get a lot of these opportunities, but Rasmus, every time you get one, please just take those shots. Please just do that. And I know we're going to see more once he gets comfortable. There's a few moments where, obviously, if we could cross the ball a bit better, versus it just going straight to the keeper, he was in good spaces. So what I do when I watch Rasmus play, to ensure I'm not just being, tunnel visioned, I always watch him off the ball more than anything now. I don't really care when he gets on the ball, because I think on the ball, I've seen enough of him to say he has the quality to be a good striker. It was always off the ball. Today, off the ball, he was fantastic. Like, every run he made, he was closer than. There's times where I was just like, if we could just find him a bit better, he'll bang. So that's one player where a lot of people want to hate and 2 goals and whatever and all this. And it's like, at the end of the day, I'm one of these people who, and I get slated for this when I talk about the Champions League. To me, I don't care nearly as much as like people in Europe, and that's just maybe whatever. But you can't say the Champions League is the end all be all, the best competition, better than the Prem or whatever, and then be like, we're going to discount his goals in the Champions League. So this year he's got 7 goals. When you look at it, I know it's not all in the Prem, and I know he's going to need some time to get there. But today I've got nothing. My criticism's been off the ball, and he was great off the ball today. And I just think we're seeing it game after game after game. He's eventually going to be the guy we hope he can be in the future. That's where I'm at with him.
Well, yo, Dan's dad came in. Goes, "Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing on Australia?"
I wanted to ask Will, from an opponent's point of view, what did you make of watching Rasmus today up against your 2 best centre backs as well? Like, how do you think he did?
I actually, in the first half, I thought he did pretty well, and there was spots in the second half too where I thought he was good. Like, it's probably one of the first people I see beat Van de Ven 1-on-1. He might have been a little tired at that point, but that touch that he took around the side of Van der Ven was really good. How old is he? I don't really know how old he is.
21.
Yeah, so yeah.
No, he's 20. He's 20. He's 20. He's 21 next month. Yeah.
I think he's got a lot of potential. I mean, the strike was about as perfect as you can get, right? Roof of the net at about 100 miles an hour. I mean, that's what you want to see. But the consistency is going to be the key, right? He's going to have to get. Look, I mean, Harry Kane at that age wasn't anything special either, right? But so, is it possible for him to get really good? Yes. Does it mean that he will? No. But I mean, you just got to give the guy some time. At 20 years
Yeah,
old,
but
striker is still really young. So.
It doesn't help that the best person to probably play him in Bruno Fernandes is being told to play deep and just hoof balls forward. Like, and this is what's frustrating me about Hojlund. It's not necessarily about him; it's the players around him. Like Garnacho on the right is starting to try and find him with the crosses and playing balls in behind, which I'm happy with. Rashford on the left, he sometimes will try and find him, and then he'll sometimes do what he did earlier in the game, which led to the goal, which is just take everyone on and try and score. So he's inconsistent in that. The one player that, as much as he's frustrating me right now, and I don't think he's the person to lead us to titles in Bruno Fernandes, he's actually good at working with strikers when he's close to them, when he's actually next to them. He's actually good at finding them, providing assists, being creative in that sense. But now he's been told to play super deep, drop really deep, and play these long balls that 60% of the time lead to nothing. And this is what will hamper Hojlund the most, not Haaland, Hojlund the most, in my opinion. If he's not getting constant support from the players around him, he will never reach his potential. Because I don't, as much as I do believe strikers can make things for themselves, create goals for themselves, go on runs, battle with defenders, and make something happen, that can only happen so much in a season. A striker that has to make his own chances every game, he's never going to develop. He's never going to develop. He's never going to score.
Yeah, you got to get him in a system. You got to get him in a system where you're kind of doing what we're doing, where we have those cutbacks, right? Because the way that ball fell to his left foot and the way he took it was really good. So if that was a cutback in that same situation, I think you'd see a lot more goals from him. But like, you're right, balls over the top. I don't think his conversion rate is like somewhere like Son, where he's going to get 1 or 2 chances and finish them, right? So
I look at it this way. For me, in the first half, he was operating well. He was creating. He scored. He faded in the second, but it's because Scott McTominay came on. Scott McTominay comes on and he plays in his area, in his space, and it's like that area is crowded. Too many cooks spoil the broth. And I understand McTominay nearly got the winner at the end, and if it had got the winner, there'd be a certain percentage of the Man United fan base that would say, you know, Ten Hag masterclass. For me, if he brings on Casemiro and he utilizes Hojlund in the same way, I think we create as many good chances in the second half as we did in the first. It was great hold-up play from again to play Rashford in, who went on the outside, should have shot with his left foot, could have scored and gone 3-1 up at that point. We didn't do that really in the second half, and it's because McTominay, and I'm not blaming McTominay because he's told to go on and play there, but he comes on and operates in his space, and I think Hojlund just then sits and goes, well, what am I meant to do? Because there's now someone operating here. It's also frustrating because they kind of move and look quite similar on the pitch from the TV view, and I sometimes don't know which one of them it is until after the commentator says their name. But for me, I was really impressed with Hojlund today. I know there's a player in him. I know he's there. And the irony is the same people I see that say our system's dead and it ruined Martial and it ruined Sancho and it's ruined Pogba and it's ruined Rashford are absolutely fuming and beating Hojlund over the head, saying, "We'll do more." I'll just sit there and think, I'm so confused by that logic. It's crazy to me.
Because I gotta skip soon, but one thing I just want to say on him that's very clear, at least, that I'm enjoying seeing from him is his head doesn't drop. He's one of the few players in the team that seems to continue to play real hard no matter what goes on. And that's something we've been kind of missing from well, I mean, if you look at the strikers we brought in to lead the line, we haven't really had many. And the one everybody loves so much can't get through half a game without his head dropping. So I think with Hojlund, at very least, we have a player who I think playing for the badge and wants to be there. And at 20 years old, that's where you kind of think about, when I think about team rebuilds, I think about who you're rebuilding around, right? What's the rebuild look like and what's the age reference? You can't win with just kids, but you need the right profile of youngsters who want to be there to grow together to actually be that later on. So that's one thing I'm looking forward to with him, but I'm going to skip.
Yeah. All right, brother. No worries at all. Thank you, bro. Let's do some of these super chats here, guys. This one says, Terry, what happened to the standard of football in the Premier League? Are there too many games? Well, same amount of games as ever for everyone as well. What we saw today was so bad. Lee Gunner is right.
I don't think
So I
anybody
was
said it
gonna
was
say,
good from either team.
I was underwhelmed a little bit. I can't lie.
In what way? But what do you, when you say underwhelmed, define that. What were you expecting from one of the worst Man United teams in 40 years at a Spurs team at the beginning of a rebuild with half their first team players out?
Yeah.
Like that's my point.
No,
Like, because
yeah.
last night what we saw, Newcastle. I know you didn't like it. You're a Newcastle fan. Newcastle versus Man City last night was one of the highest quality games you'll see in football anywhere in Europe this year. And I understand there was some poor nature to it. I just think sometimes people run on nostalgia. You know, all people grow up in the UK and they all think it was a white Christmas when they were kids, but it barely happens. We all think the summers were warmer and longer than they are now.
As in snow, people, just to let you know. White as in snow.
Everybody knows what white Christmas means. Jesus Christ. Can you imagine? No one knows what that means. Yes, but people kind of lie a little bit. And my grandparents, it was safe to walk the streets when I was a kid. I went, you grew up in the East End of London 80 years ago. It wasn't safe. What are you lying about? It was more dangerous than it is now. Like, do you know what I'm saying? So nostalgia takes over sometimes, but it works in reverse. Our things, the level has completely fallen off now. And every generation does that to the previous generation. And Dan, how old your mum and dad, if you don't mind me asking?
I don't mean to put them on the spot, but they're around the 35, 40 mark.
Okay, my age then, yeah. I bet how much do they slag your music off?
Loads.
They slag
my team off more though, to be fair.
The team, yeah, but they slag your music off. And the irony is, 20 years ago, their parents are slagging their music off.
Yeah.
In 20 years, you're gonna slag your kids' music off. And
Terry, it's not even
sorry, mate, go on.
It's not even 20 years ago. It's like every party they put on a song from their old days, and then their parents are like, "Nah, this tune sucks," and then they change it to their old days, and then it's like a pattern every.
I guarantee I like your parents' music because we're about the same age, so it's one of them things, right? But the point is I understand there are some things that are bad right now in football, but there are loads of things that are brilliant. If you watch what Liverpool and what City have done in the last few years, the football Spurs are playing this season, the football that we're seeing from mid-table teams now in the Premier League, in fact,
United.
I tell you what, the standard. I went and watched the League One game for the first time in about 5 years a few weeks back. The way the ball's being passed and moved at League One level in England. 10 years ago, that ball was just being knocked long into the channels every minute. The standard of football has increased and has improved. Do I think we have as many special footballers as we did 20 years ago? No. And that's because football has become very regimented, very scientific, very mathematical, very rigid because of the likes of Pep. They've changed football. But in another 20 years, it's going to change and evolve again, and there'll be something else. And the new generation will say it's amazing, and your generation will say it's not like when I was younger. You're not going to say it's not like when you were younger because you don't remember. You weren't born. Do you know what I'm saying? So I get where you're coming from. I don't necessarily think that League One has got. I look at it this way: if football's getting, I know the Premier League is well marketed, but you can't market shit. You spend £1 billion advertising an album that I'm singing on, it won't sell. It's going to sound awful still. The reason that more and more people are subscribing and watching the Premier League is because they find it entertaining. They love the games. They love the way we play. So I don't believe overall the standard is going backwards. That doesn't mean, by the way, that the league is crap and Serie A is crap and the Bundesliga is crap. I don't think it has gone down. I think nostalgia is creeping in slightly. KJ and my man got the buy one, get one free.
Because me and Deezy's were wearing the snooties today, man.
Right. There we go. Even Ralph, Gegenpress inventor, couldn't play with these players. Players equally, if not more responsible than the manager. Eric Ten Hag also shit, though. Mr. 10 looks like having an attitude problem, as in Rashford.
Yeah,
you could argue he's got an attitude problem. You could. Do I understand it at times? Yes. I suppose it depends on your disposition towards that player. Spurs have a chance to sign a ruthless striker to kill games off. They're scoring far. They are scoring fast. They are in the race. George, grow a pair and demand more from your club. Lol is what Manny says here. And Ten Hag has gotten obsessed with having a quick front line that he has ditched his footballing principles and wants to play counterattack, puts him out of his misery. It's a great point. But look, I want to thank everyone that's tuned in today. I want to say congratulations to Tottenham. with that level of players missing from your team, the way you're playing, the way you're moving forward, it isn't the result you wanted today. But I'll echo what Staffy said. If your club back your manager and you keep buying quality, this team could achieve great things in the next 4 to 5 years. There's no doubt. Man United, on the other hand, it's another painful weekend for us. But at least there's no Premier League game for us now for 2 weeks. So that I am very, very happy about.